We are back for episode 5 of Reality Recap. It's your girl, Vanessa. Happy New Year again. We are in 2023. Blessed to have made it. And already there is so much going on in the reality TV world. And we're going to get right into it with what? Another sesh of tea time, honey. We're going to start out with Love and Marriage Huntsville, which when we last spoke, we talked about how they had just taped or just aired their first part of their reunion. Now, I had just watched it and I tried to give you guys a little time to watch it because it literally had just came on like an hour or so before I did my last episode. So I try to give you time for my busy ladies and gents that don't get to watch it exactly at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock when these shows come on, like myself. So if you have to do some things first and watch it, DVR, do your thing, I will try my best to never be a spoiler alert for you. So we're going to get into that reunion part 1. It aired last Saturday, December 31st, which we said New Year's Eve. And right off the bat, we started with Carlos, who was going to each one of the stars' rooms and just speaking with them and joking with them. And he went into Martel's room, who was conveniently on the phone with Sheree. And Carlos took the phone and said hi to her and was asking, her opinion on Martel. And he said that he's a good man, a good father. And then he asked her if she was in love with him. And honey, she acted like she was losing reception and hung up the phone. So we didn't get an answer to that, at least not on this show. Maybe down the road we'll get that on an episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville or Real Housewives of Atlanta. Because as I told you guys, Martel will be making an appearance or 2 or 3 on that show. So can't wait for that new season to start. So that's how we started off with a little bit of humor there with Carlos visiting everybody. And then we got into the reunion where each couple was announced and they came out showing their fashions, and Martel came out before Melanie. And when Melanie came out, you could see it all in his face. Like, he was liking what he was seeing. So for him to go from being on the phone with Sheree to like almost tongue rolling out on the floor when Melanie came out, and trust me, she was giving the look. She was giving the look. That's a finger snap for you with these long nails, but she was definitely looking good on the reunion. Go Mel. So it's definitely obvious that he still has feelings for her, which why wouldn't he? They were married for a very long time. But if I was Sheree and I was looking at that, I'd be like, excuse me, sir. Put your tongue back in your mouth. So they got the original cast out on the couch, and Carlos was just talking about how no matter what, all the couples, all the the cast members always put their business first, and that they congratulate each other and support each other. And Mel, right out the gate, was like, I don't feel that way. So of course we wanted to know why, and she went into how Maurice had recently did an interview saying how Kimmy and Mel weren't really friends like that. And she took offense to it. She was upset, but you could tell that it was more just hurt. Like, why was he talking about their relationship and not something that Kimmy was saying? And, Kimmy did interject and say, well, you've kind of said the same thing on interviews before as well. And she did make it clear that Mel does reach out to her, check in if she needs something, she's there for her, but they're just not best friends. And I think that kind of cleared it up for Mel. Not sure how their relationship is going to go after that. We'll see if they have any more interactions in the next 2 episodes of the reunion. But right out the bat, you could tell Mel was ready. She came out swinging. She was, got her, you can tell she got her notes in her head and she's ready to go for this reunion. So I can't wait for her and the clapbacks because I know they are on the way. This first episode, and I mentioned to you last time, we really spent a lot of time focusing on Tisha and Marcel. Like I was telling y'all, check on them because Carlos grilled the hell out of them on this episode. They got into just the numerous every season rumors of Marcel cheating. And really, I have to be honest, never any real hard evidence. The closest we've got to any evidence was a picture of his back, allegedly, that was taken by someone in Atlanta, which he was in Atlanta around that time on a trip out there. So, I don't know. Sip your tea on that one. But no hard evidence of him cheating. But there was and has been some talk about an infamous trip to Africa that Marcel took, where he did not take his family or Tisha after that was supposed to be what took place. Tisha was giving her spiel about, oh, well, he said he was stressed and needed the time alone. And Carlos asked Kimmy, well, would you let Maurice travel all the way there? And before he could even finish, Kimmy was like, no. And Carlos was saying, like, yeah, exactly. Like, what wife is really gonna, at least if it's not business or something like that, or a situation where you guys are planning to go together and then all of a sudden you want to go by yourself? Nah, that's not flying with me. So we don't know what happened on that trip. There's no receipts of what happened on that trip. But you know, again, Tisha, she gonna stick beside him, like they say. So she, you know, was just saying that he was stressed and she understood why he went by himself. Then Carlos got into Marceau and Martel allegedly at one point, or maybe still do, having an apartment together. And again, it was denial of that. No, we don't. We never had that. So again, no receipts. So I'm just saying, any landlords out there that got the lease for these two, please come forward. Because I believe all of these rumors. I ain't even going to hold you. But we're going to stick to allegedly because there's no, you know, hard evidence. But they say no, they haven't had any property together whatsoever. Then also, like I said, the picture of his back in ATL where he was saying he was out there with a friend, which is actually the guy that's on the show. I can't think of his name right now, who was in business with Martel. But he even said on the season finale, like, yo, you dragged me in this saying you were out there in Atlanta with me when I was really only around you like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Woo-hoo. So I don't know what's going on there. I wish he had a tattoo or something on his back so we could definitely be like, yeah, that was him, but it's not. And Tisha was saying again, you know, that she said actually on this episode that it is not his back in that picture. So again, no hard evidence. And I don't want to seem like I want to see him cheat or I want to see him doing something that he shouldn't. I hope that he's not, but it's just one of those gut feelings. And there's been so many rumors throughout the last seasons of, you know, secret children, you know, him with multiple girlfriends, you know, and it's just the old saying, where there's smoke, there is fire. So I don't know what's going on, but it just doesn't sit right. And I think everybody feels that way, at least on the Twitters, as I like to say, feels that way. And you can tell Carlos feels that way. And trying to make sure that he asks clear questions, that he can't run around, beat around the bush, or try to make you read between the lines. He was getting real clear and concise with the questions he was asking. I did understand where Tisha was coming from when she was saying, like, you guys want me to leave my marriage based on he say, she say with no receipts or anything like that. But, you know, no, I don't think we're saying that or that Carlos was saying that. It was just, you know, keep your eyes open. Keep your antennas up. You know, don't get caught up in the hype of, I just trust my husband. You know, anybody's capable of anything. And like we said, where there's smoke, there's fire. So just keep your eyes open, Tisha. And, you know, make sure that you are aware of what's happening around you at all times, or try to be anyway. There was even discussion about Mel and how early on, before the seasons even started, that there was a woman willing to come on and go to a girls trip and talk about how she had been with Marcel. Tisha chopped that down, also saying that she had spoke to the girl directly, and she said that this was something that Mel had made up as far as like a storyline. It wasn't true, and she apologized, and that basically like Mel was putting her up to it. So Tisha said she spoke to this woman. It was something a long time ago anyway, but again, still no hard evidence. At this point, they brought Tisha's cousin out, Kiki, and Kiki is rubbing me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie, just because it just keeps coming out how she is friends with Mel. She's Tisha's cousin, but she runs back and forth. And it's like, well, I talked to Mel, and this is what we talked about, and this is what was said, and well, I talked to Tisha, and this is what was said. Like, she's running back and forth. Like, she's the real flip-flopper. Like Jim was saying, you flip-flop so much, you should be wearing flip-flops. And that's how I feel about Kiki. There's no loyalty to anyone, and she's saying that, well, she's just trying to be transparent or have honesty. No, boo, you being messy. And she's saying that she, I guess, thinks that Marcel was cheated, and that there has been conversation with Tisha. Like, Tisha found a picture of a woman in his phone long ago, but it's like, this is your family at the end of the day. And me and my family, or one of my closest cousins, we roll different. If I'm not talking to somebody, she ain't talking to them. And it goes the same way with me. She got beef, I got beef. I guess everybody don't roll like that, but it's just rubbing me the wrong way. Like, she shouldn't even be on the show, to be honest. Like, there's no storyline with her other than her running back and forth and starting issues. So she's still on the couch. And going into episode 2, I'm actually gonna reunion part 2, but I'm gonna post a piece of that tomorrow, a day before it starts. So definitely look out for that so you can see what I'm talking about, right? Part 2 of 3 is airing this Saturday, January the 7th. So, again, in my clip that I'm going to post for you guys, it definitely looks like somebody pissed Carlos off, because he had the head going, the hands together, and, somebody on that couch had something to do with that, and he was clapping back. So we're going to see what that's about. And like I said, Keisha's still up there arguing with Tisha and with Miss Wanda, so we'll get into what else she has to say and how much longer she's going to be sitting on that couch, child. But she's a little bit out of control. And that's really it, it for that episode. They were definitely, like I said, focused on Tisha and Marcel right out the gate. So still a lot more to discuss. We didn't have Tiffany come out yet. I know we're going to get into the therapy sessions and things that have gone on. So a lot more to come there. Sunday, New Year's Day, Real Housewives of Potomac aired, and it was one for the books, okay? The shade, the tea, the comedy, it had it all in this episode. It started out with Mia and her friend Jacqueline, where they tell G about all the rumors that are going on and that they're all three in a relationship and all this stuff that the girls are speculating about. Honestly, based on stuff that Mia keeps dropping, too much information, and just, what she's done in the past with Jacqueline, and that's like her sister wife without benefits, so she say. But it's like, you're giving too much information. You're igniting the fire. So she sat down and told G, he looked like, oh really, that's what they're saying? Like, his face didn't look believable either. I don't know what's going on with the three of them, honestly. Don't really care. But that's kind of what they started off with, since that was a conversation that they had at the podcast episode for Robin and Giselle. So she went back and let him know what was going on there. Then they had where Karen and Mia had a conversation, and they talked about how, nothing really going on with Jacqueline. So she said, but that there had been in the past like a threesome with her husband, and Peter's ex-girlfriend. I believe it's ex. I don't think she's his current girlfriend, but so I'm gonna go with that based on what I remember, that it was Peter's ex-girlfriend, that they had some type of fun activities, let's say, going on actually on their wedding night, and that this girl was in Mia and G's wedding, that she sung while she was coming down the aisle. Mia did say that they don't speak anymore, so I guess that's the issue there. But Karen took all that tea in a big old teapot and poured it for Robin, Giselle, and Ashley, the three biggest gossips. She went and poured that tea for them, and they were like eyes wide open, mouth open, like, what? Why she ain't tell us that in Miami? Oh my God. So she sung like a canary and told that girl business. So of course, Giselle, Robin, they're gonna go right back to Mia and ask her, well, why you ain't tell us about this? And is that why y'all was so friendly in Miami? And they were going on and on. So Mia got upset. Like, this is something I told Karen in confidence. Although it's not in confidence, Mia, there was cameras there, boo-boo. Nothing's in confidence on reality TV, just so you know. But yeah, she was pretty heated about that she had ran back and told them what was going on. So we're gonna pause there before we get to Karen's show, where that kind of came to a head. Because before Karen's show also, Giselle met up with the PYT group. That's Ashley's like mom friend group, a couple of girls that think they're I shouldn't say think that they are, but think that they're PYTs, young, hot, and been through similar situations. They're a support group for each other, so kudos for that. But I'm gonna say I was looking around for the PYTs. Sorry, not sorry. But this is where lying ass Deborah came in and was telling Giselle and the rest of the girls that who supposedly had saw the same thing, where how she was at the bar at Karen's spring event. I think that was around the first or second episode of this season, and that she was at the bar and she was waiting for her drink, but she could feel somebody looking at her over here staring, and it was Chris. And production on Potomac, do not miss, because they had the clips of her standing at the bar and Chris not looking at her at all in his phone, minding his business. And I love that they put the caption of it like, Chris not looking at Deborah. They be killing them. So yeah, she was saying, oh, and he introduced himself, and she introduced herself to him and was saying how she liked his color of his suit, and oh, my husband's name is Chris. And he was like, oh yeah, pretty common name. Because she was telling them that he was like, yeah, all of our Chris's are alike, and making it seem way more than it really was. Then with her, Happy Eddie came over. That's how she was doing her hand too. Like this little wave. Like, yeah, Happy Eddie came over and he was all smiling and grinning. If I didn't know any better, wouldn't even know he was married. And he wasn't even talking to her. Production caught that too, where Eddie came over and he was laughing and talking to Chris. And just overall, he's a polite person and always smiling. But this girl, Deborah, like, the internet, the Twitters, we done with her. Like, you tried to get your 15 minutes. And it was just kind of crazy to see Ashley say in her confessional, I've known her for a year and a half, and my friends all saw this, and they are not liars. And like, no, boo, they are. They just was trying to get their 15 minutes of fame. Like, Ashley, stick to hanging with the girls on the show, because then you know they're not trying to use you. Okay? But yeah, Deborah made herself out to be a fool. And now we're going to get into Karen's. Was it a live show? Was it a variety show? A talent show? I don't know. I'm like everybody else, all the ladies. Like, I'm still confused about what her show is supposed to represent or be. It was actually in New York a few weeks ago, and I was gonna go, but it was in the middle of the week, and it just wasn't gonna work. Like, I'm a mom and I have to work, so it definitely wasn't gonna work out for me. But it was. I'm kind of glad I missed it, just from what I saw. I mean, it wasn't a bad show, but it went from like singing to comedy to a Q&A. I'm telling you, it was more like a variety show, not a Karen and Friends like live show in that manner, where I thought it was going to be her doing more than just going up there and saying, all right, and next we got coming to the stage, next coming to the stage, you know. So yeah, her show wasn't horrible, but I definitely don't understand the meaning behind it, or the moral of it. Let me just say that. But it had some drama there. So they got to the Q&A section of the show, and Mia got up there to ask Karen a question, and she was like on the mic, well, if you tell a friend something in confidence and they go run it to and tell other girls in the group, how do you handle that? And it was like, ooh, everybody was looking, you know, eyes big, like, oh, this, she's talking to you right now. And Karen tried to make light of it and really trying to get back at her, like, oh, well, whatever I said it to you, Mia, so don't worry about it. Like, stop trying to steal a shine of my show, is what she said in the confessional. But yeah, Mia got her together real quick in front of everybody at the variety show. We're going to stick with that, the variety show. And basically was like, you know, if I tell you something, you don't go back, run and tell. You know, you can at least ask me before you go running and telling. So Mia got her little sneak this in at the variety show. And then, of course, Ashley brought Deborah to the variety show. And Candace came, and she was giving her same spiel to Candace about, you know, Chris being overly friendly or flirty, blah, blah, blah. Wendy, I don't think Wendy really got involved in it, or what she was saying about Eddie, because Wendy had already heard about it and talked to her husband, and they were laughing about it. And I liked Wendy's approach. You know, she was in her confessionals like, what would he need to look at her for? Look what he got. That's right, Wendy. You are a beautiful chocolate girl. He don't need that thing. Like Candace said, that Sesame Street character. He do not need that. So Candace was, you know, she listened to what she had to say. And then after the show, Deborah tried to push her 15 minutes and ask Candace, do you want to talk one-on-one? And Candace said, no, I'm good. I'm not talking to that Sesame Street character. I am good. And sent her on her way. So I'm hoping this is the last we see of Deborah. Bye, girl. On the words of my girl, Nene, bye, wig. Because nobody wants to hear anything else you have to say at this point. She even tried to, that morning of the show, Deborah got on her social media and tried to post a video that was supposed to be funny of her like brushing her eyebrow with a Elmo puppet and getting a cookie from Cookie Monster hand puppet. It was so corny. And I posted about it like, oh, she tried to wake up and get ahead of the story that was about to come out. And that's what everybody was saying, especially on my TikTok. They were like, girl, this is corny. You were trying to get back and get at her, but Candace read you for filth. She ended you, so go on about yourself. 15 minutes is up. So yeah, the internet is over Deborah and her nonsense. So hopefully, like I said, that's the end of her. And I also posted on my pages, you can go back and see it, just a sneak peek of the upcoming episode that will come on Sunday, where the girls are heading to Mexico for Ashley's birthday. I'm hoping Deborah does not show up. I don't see her on there as of yet, and I'm hoping no, she's not invited. But a lot of drama happening out there with Sharice and Karen. Them slapping the table, standing up in each other's faces. Just a lot gonna go on in Mexico. And Bravo even said it in their caption, like, this trip is gonna leave you speechless. So I am ready, y'all, for more tea and more shade out in Mexico. So don't miss that. Make sure you guys keep up with that. I'll definitely, the day after, to give you a chance to watch it, I will post some clips from that new episode when it comes out. And there are actually some first look clips out there that I will post probably over the weekend before the show airs on Sunday. So look out for that. All right. What else we got going on? Love and Hip Hop Family Reunion. Episode 6 aired on the 2nd, this past Monday. Y'all know how I feel about this show. I don't have to tell you. It's just my Monday night filler. But what was going on there? Carly Red apologized to Mariah Lynn finally for the fight that happened episodes ago, where Carly Red thought Mariah Lynn hit her when it was actually Tokyo, and she swung on Mariah Lynn for no reason because she wasn't involved at all. So she apologized, but was it a heartfelt apology? No. And I always say apology with a but means you're not really sorry. So Mariah didn't accept it. She was saying, you really trying to make yourself out to be the victim right now, and I'm the one sitting here with scratches, bruises, all my nails broke. Like, I hear you, but I'm not really ready to accept that right now. So I agree with Mariah. Like, girl, come back again. Try again when you really mean it, without the this happened, but so that's really what's going on with them right now. It's not resolved, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be. Alexis Sky and Scrap are still getting to know each other, air quotes. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't see him on her social media. So do I think it went far? No. So I'm not gonna invest a lot of time in that. Also, Lyrica. She seems to be the one on Chaotic's list right now. Chaotic is jumping from girl to girl. He's making himself look kind of desperate, where he's just trying to fill out each girl and see who's going to give him some play. Like, he literally was out in the ocean with Tierra trying to holler at her. It wasn't going the way he wanted it to go. So he was like, well, I'm going to go check on Lyrica because she, like, tore her meniscus or something. She's been on, like, bed rest. So he left one situation to go see about Lyrica, and that's where he ended up on this episode of who he's trying to nail down next. So, child, I can't be bothered. None of these are like real solid relationships, so I can't invest in it. Shakana, we talked about her. She came in hot, mad at Lyrica, talking a lot of mess in her confessional about something years ago where Lyrica asked her to promote her music. She did, and then she looked back and Lyrica unfollowed her, and that she heard through the grapevine that Lyrica said she's bad for her brand. How she said you're bad for her brand when she all the way in LA and you all the way in ATL. I don't know, child. And again, I don't care. But she has an issue with Lyrica because of that. So they actually start getting into it at the bonfire, where it came out to Shakana, and we talked about this also, where Shakana was trying to be nosy and talking about, oh, I wonder if Tiara paid 50 Cent, and nobody wants to get in that. Like, it's old news. If she paid him, if she didn't, he don't need it, so why do we care? But Shakana had got up there like, well, who told Tiara while she was up here performing that I said something about her 50 Cent situation? And Chrissy got up, walked up like, I said it. And what, basically? And she's like, well, I'm just letting you know I had already told her, so you ain't have to bring it back because I already told her. And y'all know Chrissy don't play. And she was like, no, well, you standing up here asking the question, so I'm answering it for you. I don't know why you doing all this yelling and stuff. So quickly, she kind of backed down. Well, I always yell. I'm short and I just be wanting to be heard. But, you know, we all know Chrissy would have lit her up. So she backed down from her, you know, all bark, no bite uh, situation. And it's just not really anything going on there with this show. I don't know if I'm even going to have room to keep talking about it. But I think I am. I think I am because I did see the preview and there is some more wops coming. Look like we're going to have some fights on the upcoming episode. So we'll see what's happening there, who's fighting and why. And who else gonna get sent home? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. All right. Now, let's get into this aggravating situation of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which aired on the 4th, episode 13, where we started out in the last night of San Diego still, where they were at this Greek goddess dinner. And Heather bringing up her eye. And again, for someone who doesn't want to talk about the eye, every time she's on the camera, she's bringing up the eye. So she said something like, well, my eye is like a metaphor for our friendships. Like, we don't want to talk about it. We're sweeping it under the rug. And it's like, girl, if you don't want to talk about it, why are you the only one that's bringing it up? And then don't want to answer nobody questions. I'm so aggravated with her, and the internet is too. Like, we're just over it. You know, we keep dragging this out and still don't know what happened to her. So maybe we'll find out on the reunion. I don't know. But yeah, she just is getting on my nerves, honestly. You know, so at this Greek dinner, Whitney asked her, like, well, what happened to your eye? And her story keeps changing. She doesn't remember what happened. She doesn't recall. She does and doesn't want to say. She doesn't want to talk about it. But yeah, like I said, we don't know. And at this point, we're starting to not care. You know, I don't want to sound rude or mean because I know this was, you know, a violent situation possibly where someone hit her or attacked her. But you're not speaking up for yourself. You know, you keep switching up the story and egging it on, but then not speaking on it. It's just getting old, and it feels like a dragged out storyline, honestly, at this point. So we left San Diego and they went back to Salt Lake City. And no, I'm sorry, before we leave San Diego, Dana and her great highlights that are annoying me as well. They're at the table, and again, she keeps coming for Jen. And by no means am I rooting for Jen or got Jen's back. Like, we all know that she's in hot water. You know, the criminal charges and the allegations against her are terrible, to say the least. But I just don't understand why. Like, I hate when a new girl tries to come for someone to make themselves relevant or, again, give themselves a storyline. Because it's like, Dana, what do we know about you? Do you work? We your husband? We know you got kids. This is your first girl trip, but we don't know anything about you. I don't think we've even filmed at her home at all this season. So before you come in, getting into situations that were in past seasons already established that you don't know anything about, let's get to know you first. Because now, out the gate, we ain't really feeling you. Because she keeps coming for Jen, and she's sitting at the table saying how a friend that she trusts very much told her that somebody they know, so it's like the telephone game at that, was working for Jen and her business was sketchy, and that they pled guilty and is now an informant, but she's not giving no names or who told her that. And it's like, if you're going to say something damaging like that, knowing that the girl is going through the trial right now, then give full details. And that's what Jen was saying. Like, if you're going to start something like that, take it to the finish line. And she got upset and walked away like, this is my life you're talking about. This is, my family you're talking about. And you just throwing out stuff with no receipts. And she dismissed her and left the dinner table. So then Dana's sitting there looking stupid, saying like, well, everybody knows about the situation. They're not talking about it because it's an active legal situation. That's why. Hello? And nobody wants to be tied to that, involved in that. She hadn't even gone to trial yet at that point. So it was like, Dana, bye. But I will say they like flashed to a clip where before the dinner, Jen tried to give her a box of dye to dye her hair. Because yes, these gray highlights, streaks, whatever it is, it's not working. I'm so annoyed by it every time I see her. So that was funny to me. But yeah, Dana, you're another one that I'm hoping you're replaced before the next season, because you're not bringing anything to the table but nonsense, for real. So sip on that tea. She's just giving whack to me. Yeah, and Heather, again, throughout the show, and I posted that clip today, with 3 separate situations where she talks about the eye at the dinner table. When they got back to Salt Lake, she met with Angie H, she met with Whitney, and every single time it's her bringing up the eye. Like, she goes to Angie's house and her dog has look like pink eye, and she's like, oh, now I see why everybody's talking about my eye, because, oh, I can't stop staring at yours. And then when they ask her about it, I don't want to talk about it. I don't recall what happened. And same thing, she goes to Whitney's house and talk about the friend break that they were on. And you're in a friend break, you don't even know what happened to my eye. And she's like, well, what did happen to your eye? I don't want to talk about it. Or I'm not going to tell you because I don't trust you, because we were on a friendship break. It's like, girl. Oh, Lord, I'm just so over it with this eye. Like, at this point, I still stand by it was either Whitney or Jen. It's starting to point more towards Jen, because like, she's the only one that she's like at the dinner table and like, well, we still don't know what happened to my eye. And she's staring at Jen, and Jen always kind of goes into her turtle shell when she starts talking about it. So I'm just assuming that at this point, like I said, allegedly, that it's more towards Jen doing it and her just trying to protect her because of, again, the whole court case, and not trying to add to that. But I just don't understand how they would have went from laughing, drinking, playing, running around the house to hugging, sucker punched. I don't know how that played out. So again, Jen is not at the reunion, as we know, so maybe she'll feel more comfortable to talk about it then, knowing that, the reunion will air after Jen is already sentenced and everything. Maybe we'll find out something then. But at this point, if we don't, we just don't. Just let your eye heal, put a stake on it, and go about your business, girl, because I can't no more. Because every episode, I feel like we are waiting, okay, this is going to be an episode, we find out what happened, and we don't. So it's just a letdown, honestly. So also on this episode, Meredith had a charity event, a mental health awareness charity, where Coach Shaw and Jen Shaw came with a check to pay Angie K, because you guys know that she was talking about how she threw a party at their house for Coach and she paid for it, and Jen and Coach didn't pay anything, which I'm not rich, but I thought rich protocol was if you have a party and you volunteer to host it and have it, and you don't discuss up front that, okay, I'm going to send you the invoice, or I'm going to upfront the money and then you just pay me back. There was no conversation, it seems, of that sort with Angie. And then when she got upset with Jen on the San Diego trip, then it came, well, I threw this party and you didn't pay me back. So they came to the charity event with a check to give her. And in Angie's confessional, she said, well, I'm going to cash this check as soon as we leave this event before the authorities freeze her account. But meanwhile, in Jen's face and Coach Shaw's face is, I love you guys, I respect you guys, I love your family. Just totally different from her confessional. And that's really been the theme throughout this season, is everybody is a confessional gangster. Like, they say one thing but don't say it to their face. And Angie K is another one that's starting to rub me the wrong way. Like, you came in on Jen's coattail, you was her friend, and then you get into the group and flip on her, which happens on the Housewives a lot. When, you know, a housewife brings a friend in, then she get into the group and then flip on the person that brought them into the group. So she's giving fake ass friend, honestly. And you can tell just by the way she even said that whole like freeze account comment in her confessional, that she was using her hand and pointing and trying to like roll her neck. Like, it felt like production put her up to that, honestly. Not something she would have said on her own, because she don't give tough at all. More like she don't want to break that fake nose. So it's just, you know, again, moral of all these stories is these 15-minute of fames with Kiki, with Deborah, with Angie K, with Dana. It's all given just 15 minutes of fame. Like, just do anything to get on TV. So she was at the reunion, though, very excited. You could tell she posted a lot and was trying to, you know, clap back on Twitter at Jen and stuff like that. So, not feeling her, but I just thought that that was whack of her to be cordial in their face, take the check, and then say what she said. So, bunch of confessional gangsters, like I said, on this season. Just a heads up too, Jen is going to be sentenced tomorrow, actually. So, you know, again, not taking her side. I just hate to see anybody go through this, but again, you know, taking advantage of the elderly and this whole telemarketing scheme. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And then also, recently there was like a motion filed because someone came forward saying that they had in the past a restraining order on Jen. Again, all allegedly, because I told you I have no lawyer. This is just what I read. So allegedly that she had a restraining order on Jen because she exposed that Jen was cheating on Coach Shaw, and that Jen started stalking her, harassing her. And she wants to tell that story to kind of further paint a bad picture of Jen. So I don't know how that's going to sway the jury or the judge. But again, sentencing is tomorrow. Everybody's on pins and needles, all of the blog sites and podcasts, to just get the news first of, you know, how much time she receives, how much she's going to have to serve. You know, trying to get a glimpse of her going in and out of the courthouse. So tomorrow, everybody's on heightened awareness for this trial. On the next episode, she's actually starting the trial and going to New York. So we'll see how that plays out. But like I said, the sentencing is tomorrow. She's actually already in New York. Somebody caught a picture of that, her in the airport heading to New York. So we'll see what happens, and you know, again, how much time that she gets. I feel more sad for her kids and that she'll be away from them, but she made a bed, she gotta lay in it. So we'll see what happens there, and also how much money and like restitutions or fines that she's gonna have to pay on top of that. So I don't know what else to say. We'll see tomorrow, and of course, you know, I'll keep you guys posted with that on my page. All right. So we've covered a lot in a short amount of time, but those are the shows that I have watched over the weekend and so far this week. It is Thursday, so just some upcoming stuff that I'll be talking about on my next episode is Real Housewives of Miami, which aired this morning, giving you time to watch it. So we won't go into that on this episode, but still spicy, still #1 show right now in my book. And we'll go over that once you guys have had a chance to watch it. Well, I'll be back Sunday or Monday with my next episode. Also, Growing Up Hip Hop is airing tonight. Not gonna lie, I'm just interested to see if Yo Gotti is gonna be on there with Angela. Might be, I don't know when this was filmed versus when their relationship started. They just went public on New Year's Eve. They made it Instagram official, so I'm just trying to see more of their relationship because I'm thrilled that she finally gave him a chance. Because, you know, all she needed was a real gangster in her life. So I'm glad that she got that together. Love After Lockup. I posted a little teaser yesterday. Y'all know that's up there on my list as well. That will be coming on Friday. So we'll talk about that. Give you guys a chance to watch that. RuPaul Drag Race is starting this Friday, their big season premiere. So I'll be watching that. Bring you all the tea, all the shade, my favorite queens that I like right out of the bat. I think Cornbread, who had hurt herself the last season, is back, who was one of my favorites coming out the gate. So I can't wait to see how far she goes. And then also we have, like I said, Love and Marriage Huntsville Reunion Part 2. So look out for that teaser on my page tomorrow. And we'll be talking and discussing more about what they go over on that part 2 of 3 of that reunion. So you know when it's a 3-part reunion, it's juicy. So we'll see what's happening there. So let me just plug myself again, Reality_Recap. We are on Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So please, follow, support. Also on YouTube, this video will be posted. So like, share, subscribe. It doesn't cost you $1 to support. Hit that follow button and leave a good rating. Good ratings only. Negative comments, keep it to yourself. But, I just, thank you guys. I got a lot of views on my last video. So thank you for the support and continue to follow my journey. And I will be back with episode 6 over the weekend. So more tea to come as always. Thank you for joining and enjoy the rest of your week.